That's why there is a third. And that is that there is definitely a difference between the AAA content and the non-AAA content. And that there are niches for both of these things, and they should remain mostly separate. And I think, if you ask the people at Nintendo, that's what they would say. I think that's what Reggie would tell you. The experience of the 3DS is awesome. Of course Reggie would say that. It's awesome. But it's different than the experience of the Wii U, which is also awesome, but different. And if those things are in fact different, remember, Nintendo are the people that really created this mindset. They created the idea that you had a home experience and a console and a mobile experience with the Game Boy, right? They created that mindset. I think they still live in that space. You have potentially three different philosophies there. Which one wins out? Only time will tell. But I think the thought really, as I see it right now, is that most companies are thinking they're all going to converge into the same place, whereas I'm kind of with Nintendo on this. I think that those experiences are actually fundamentally different, and I think they're going to remain that way. Even if I have Google Glass and headphones and I can shout something on the train at my mobile device, I don't think that's going to immerse me any more than sitting on my or even anywhere close, sitting on my couch with my speakers on and my giant TV, rocking and rolling down BioShock Infinite and jumping every single time something comes out of the corner speaker. That, I don't think those experiences are ever going to really be the same, at least for the foreseeable future. And I think that's okay. I think that's a good thing, by the way. So, that's my 2 cents on it. One thing that jumped into my head, too, I'm going to wrap that conversation. We'll move right on to the next thing. One thing that jumped into my head, too. 2 things, really. Number one is I misspoke someone's name last week, and I want to apologize for that. Lot Death Hail instead of Lol Death Hail, which obviously makes that thing very different, and the connotation is very different. I apologize to you, loyal and noble commenter, for mispronouncing your name. I hate it when people do that to me, so I'm not going to do it to you. I'm going to correct that now, and I will correct anybody that corrects me on. The Commodore is not perfect. What can I say? I'm just not. Okay? The other thing I want to talk about is several of you tried to call me out, both in last week and this week, about, oh, Commodore, you asked this question, and wow, what a, you haven't considered the angles, and blah, blah, blah. Whether it be about, oh, well, Commodore, of course, there are more good games now than ever because all the games that were around before are still around today. Even though I specifically, so here's what I'm going to say. Folks, if you want to call me out, and I'm not perfect, please do call me out. That's why I like Lot Death Hail. Had to call me out. I mispronounced the name, okay? That's a big deal. But if you're going to call me out, you better do your homework on it. If you go back and actually look where I asked the question, I said specifically in the question, I know that all games before will be available today. I asked about generation specifically. So either you didn't watch that video or you weren't paying any attention. So don't bother calling me out unless you know what you're talking about. And trust me, several of you have called me out and been right on the money. And I've apologetically come back to you guys and been like, you know what, I screwed up. So so I have no problem. I have no pride in that regard. But if you're going to bring the heat, you're going to tell the Commodore that he did something wrong, you best do your research. Okay, enough said on that. So let's get to the question for next week. Folks, this is a great one. I have several people out there, several of our most loyal commenters that are just there every week that I really joyfully treasure all of you. And it's just great to see them commenting every week because I know they're still a part of it. They've been a part of it for a long time, and they're really what keep us going. So one of those people, one such person, is Maze. And Maze has been commenting obviously for a very long time on the Weekly Wringer, but also, this is kind of making me think maybe I should do commenter spotlights at some point. Anyway, different story. Suggestions for episode 100? Just saying. But Maze has not only contributed for a long, long time in the Weekly Wringer, but has also given me several different things to think about in terms of questions. I think I've even used some of those before, as a matter of fact. But this week, this question comes straight from Maze. because I think it's a great question that probably deserves some kind of recognition to be answered, and I think it's perfect for the Weekly Ringer. So here we go. The Weekly Ringer for next week is about generations. It's about nostalgia. It's about enjoyment of things that aren't necessarily your own. And I think you're gonna like this. So the question for next week is this: is it only an ironic hipster thing to be connected to another generation's movies, music, and or games? Don't have to answer about all of them, but I think it's a good question. In other words, folks, do you have to be a part of a generation in order to really fundamentally understand what those games, movies, music was really about? Or is it just kind of an ironic hipster thing? Is it something that only hipsters do to be cool? Or there's people that do that kind of stuff now that are going and experiencing different movies, music, and games, or any of us that have done that in the past, that, isn't ironic, isn't just, kind of part of the cool wave, or is more just kind of a show of the timelessness of the material involved? It's a deep question, a good one, and one I expect to see all of you back to comment on for next time. So, thank you all with that for commenting and for watching the Weekly Ringer. I value and rely on your contributions on a daily basis here at Clan of the Grey Wolf, but also on a weekly basis here on the Weekly Ringer. So I thank you for your viewership, and I thank you for your comments as well. So for the Clan of the Grey Wolf, I am the Commodore, and there is no reset button.